I hope you will enjoy the next 45 minutes. I will not bother you too much, I hope, but let's see how it goes. Okay, first slide, the disclaimer. I don't want anyone to take us to court because we don't have money to pay any kind of lawsuit. Then it's better to read the disclaimer. About Axelera, we started 3 years ago. We are a young company. In the first part of the presentation, I want to show you who is Axelera, which is a company in deep tech, designing chip for AI acceleration. Then what we do in Axelera is essentially to bring to market an AI inference chip to accelerate computer vision in the first generation and generative AI in the second generation. We started this project 3 years ago. We got funded. We got our seed investment from European investor, and we started with a very strong team, actually, of people like you, people coming from ETH, people coming from HiPEAC, and people coming from IBM Zurich Lab, and experienced guys in Eindhoven for the chip design. We start to develop immediately chip. After the first 7 months, we tape out the first chip. After 12 months, a second chip, and then we did a third one 6 months ago, after 24 months almost. Then very fast in bringing to market technology, and our product is today in the hands of more than 30 companies that are testing it, and we are moving to mass production. We also have raised so far 120 million. That is nothing compared to Sambanova, clearly, but in Europe it's a significant amount of money. And what I said initially, essentially what we want to do in Axelera is to ride the wave of ubiquitous computing. We see computing spreading from cloud to the edge, being all around us. This computing is changing. It needs to process data, which is very different than process the input of a keyboard. And we want to solve this problem, bringing to market a specific technology. The first focus that we have, it's in edge application. Then what we do is designing AI accelerator to accelerate workload at the edge. Here you see some example in retail, agriculture, industrial, automation, security, healthcare, automotive. And what you see in all of these examples, that there is something in common. You have images. Essentially what we design is an architecture which gets as input images and output clearly the inference, the result of the inference. And the beautiful thing is that once you know better than me, that once you optimize your hardware, your solution around a bunch of family of networks, you don't care what is the application, because face recognition, for example, can be used for payment system in retail, can be used for access control, can be used in security. Therefore, once you optimize the technology for these networks, you can deploy it on volume in many verticals. And what we did is exactly this then, optimize for computer vision, and now we are working on a generative AI solution. And what we do is we design a chip. Metis is now the chip that is on the market. We are going to announce in coming months, early next year, the next generation, which is actually complementary. But we don't sell chip unless there is a very large volume. We tend to sell acceleration card and systems, which come with a software stack which allow you to deploy your model. Essentially, you build up your model still in the cloud, use your tools. We help to convert everything in something which can run at the edge. And we do thanks to the fact that the technology is optimized, we can essentially deliver high performance at a fraction of power consumption and cost of today's solution. Then it's clear we play at the edge, and the edge is a smaller market than the cloud. There is less competition. Big guys like NVIDIA, they care less because it's just $15 to $20 billion. That for NVIDIA it's peanuts, it's 2 months. For us, it's a dream, still a dream, right? Getting that revenue. But when you play in that space, you can optimize your hardware and software. You can co-design something that can really beat beat the best incumbents. And this is reflected in many networks. Here I have two examples. The second one, this is NVIDIA, and we can achieve similar performance but a fraction of cost in power consumption. You see here in the two different graphs that we are showing there that we can beat any architecture. And we do this essentially because we use two technologies. One is RISC-V for the data flow, and the digital in-memory computing is to accelerate the matrix vector multiplications, which represent 70 to 90% of any workload that you have in your network. Then essentially we handcrafted the design. We take SRAM, right, the SRAM cell, we interleave to the memory cell a computing element, then we have the other three to do the accumulation, and a bunch of other digital logic around to accelerate all the network. And thanks to this, we can definitely deliver high performance because you parallelize computation to 100,000 per computing cycle, because each small core has 262,000 elements, and we have 4 cores in a small chip of 140 square millimeter in 12 nanometer. You have a small area, which means small cost, and you don't move so much the data because the data and the memory stay close together. Then you really can get great result here. But still you need to solve all the other problems, right? And all the other operations are solved by a digital logic that we build up around, and using also RISC-V technology. Thanks to that, we got very good traction with customers. When we announced the product, we had 1,000 companies reaching out, more than expected. We realized that our product was not really mature to be given away to 1,000. Then we started with the first 10, then we scale up. Today we have more than 30s. We want to scale up with 100. But definitely the good news is that we saw that there was, we got the confirmation that there was a very strong market. And then here is what we plan to do. That is, today, as I said, we are in computer vision. We are adding generative AI product line portfolio, and then scaling up with the chiplet to more the high performance computing. Still, the focus is AI workload and inference. Now you have an idea about the company, but I'm not here. I was not here to tell you all about the company. I was telling how we did this and all the journey. Because first of all, I'm not a serial entrepreneur. Then first point, right? I didn't build up several companies. Then this is the first point. Then for me it was a new adventure that I decided to take. Actually 5 years ago I decided to quit because in my early 30s I thought I should do something different. I was bored by the corporation. I used to work in a corporation in computing. Asus Computing was the last one. Before it was Advantech, in product marketing and sales. And I thought, well, I saw an opportunity and I decided to try to go further. And I want to share all the steps from really the day one, because these are common steps that if you are an entrepreneur, if you want to become an entrepreneur, you should really consider when you build up your venture. The first was, what's the problem to be solved? I mean, you should have a problem to solve, right? Because if there is no problem, there is no reason to go to market with something. And in my case, the problem was that I was in ASUS, and we used to integrate this Intel architecture, AMD architecture, delivering to customer at the edge customer, building up devices in medical, in security. And what happened that we noticed that customers started to accumulate data, collecting data. And they want to do something, but they could not stream the data to the cloud because of connectivity, because of cost, and there was no solution to extract data locally. Then it was clear that there was something happening, right? It was clear that there was a need to solve this problem. And then the problem to be solved is something that you always have to consider, I think. I mean, whatever idea you have, are you solving a real problem? Then, how big is the problem? How urgent is the problem, right? Because you can never solve a problem, but if it's not big or not urgent, well, it stays with you, the problem, right? And then the next things is, what's the solution of the problem, right? You have a problem, you know that it is urgent, it's big, what should I do? What's the solution? What I plan to do it? And then, who can solve it in the sense that you're not Superman, right? You can do a lot of things, but not everything by yourself, I think. Unless you are Elon Musk, then you can do everything. But otherwise, it's difficult, right? And then the last point, that is how to finance because you need money to start your venture, right? Well, I have very little experience, no experience in this. I had some ideas in my mind, but really was for me a starting of a journey. I was like you today, if you plan to start a company. I had experience in a corporation, but it was very different. And in our case, well, the problem, the first was, what was the problem? The problem, as I said, was this. A lot of data at the edge, more and more data collected, billions of devices at the edge. Most of this data turned out to be video, 80%. 80% of video, but you have the problem. If you are at the edge, you cannot stream everything. And you could not definitely 5 years ago when I started to think about this. Then you go and you say, okay, then the problem is you have data, you want to extract information. Then you look at technology, and you notice that to extract data, you need neural network. And the problem was that the trend of neural network in terms of size was growing already at that time exponentially. Not like today, this is the large language model, but already even for image processing, while the technology was not growing so fast. And then going inside, you notice that actually the problem is that the technology today available was not designed to do simple matrix vector multiplication. There was no technology. And then also, how big was this opportunity, and where? At the edge, look big enough, although was also present in other markets. And then how urgent was the opportunity? Well, the market was big enough. Then, okay, there is a problem, and it's also big, the opportunity. This is in billions, right? These are data in billions. Then I said, wow, it's really big, very, very large opportunity. And then it was, okay, but the problem is that the opportunity is big. How important is to solve? Because how important for customer? Well, here it's a reason to solve, right? Why customers choose the technology? I thought, well, if you can deliver something which costs less, actually there is a direct benefit for customer, because eventually, if you sell to company. Company wants to make profit. It's the world we live in, right? Then I thought, well, if you can build up a solution which can cost a fraction, and this is really the price, right? Customer can save millions. Then it becomes urgent for them to change. It becomes urgent to try it. And then I said, okay, and all of this for me was the easiest part, because I come from the market, I knew the customer, I was there, I have all this data. Then the problem became a little bit more difficult, because, okay, you want to reach this, but what's the solution? And okay, and the solution should be a card, computing card. Great, fine. The problem is that I'm not like you guys, that you are here, you're studying to design a chip. I'm an engineer, telecommunication engineer, but I spend all my life in product, not in R&D. Therefore, when I arrived to this point, I said, okay, I have no clue who to talk to, because I'm not from university, I don't have. And then what I did, I read your papers. Then I think it's very important to write papers still, because in this case, most of the co-founders of the company are on board, because I started to read papers in two directions. In computing in general, then I started to be fascinated by memory computing, and I read paper in memory computing. And then I started to read paper also on RISC-V. And I thought, I started to have this idea that maybe these two technologies together could work, but it was, kind of very initial idea. And then what I did, move forward, then I thought, okay, then to solve the problem, sales, if I have to build up a company, if we have to build up a company, we need sales, marketing expertise, product and operation, technology. And for the first part, okay, it was kind of my field. Already at the time, I had my very large network of people in sales, in marketing, product operation as well, I mean, because I work for a company that were manufacturing. But here I really didn't know anyone, but really anyone, in the sense I said. And then the next step was, okay, I read paper, what should I do? Reach out to people, right? Because I read paper from SEA, from IBM, and from Zurich in memory computing. I read paper from RISC-V, many of them, they were coming from DTH, from Zurich. And I did this, I reached out to people. I reached out to Professor Luca Benini with LinkedIn. I say, hi, I'm Fabrizio, I have this idea. And Luca answered me, actually. And I did the same, actually, with the other institution. Then I reached out to have a conversation about the idea, about potential investors. And I moved forward, right, because you start to create your network. And then Luca said, well, there is another professor, Marian Verhelst. You have to talk to Marian because she's great. Okay. And then he said, and there is a guy called Evangelos Eleftheriou at IBM that is a great guy you should talk to. And then I reached out, and I started to connect the dots. We started to connect each other. And thanks to this, we started a company, because eventually I could, through Luca, Marian, find the team HiPEAC. I found the team of HiPEAC in Leuven for the memory computing. Evangelos Eleftheriou brought in memory computing, expertise in computing. Luca Benini put me in touch with students like you that had these ambitions to build up something great. And then we started. Then, well, we started. It's not true. We solved this because we missed one important aspect, the last one, the money, right? Where's the money, right? And when I was talking about the money, they told me, one investor told me, you're Italian, then probably you are very good at spending money, more than raising money, right? I said, well, it could be. Probably you're right? But let's try to be the outliner, right? To get out from the normal distribution and try to prove it. And what I did, I had no clue how to raise money, let's be honest. I mean, who knows how to raise money? Because I work in corporation. In corporation, you have money. You have to spend money wisely, but you have money. And what I did is this. I just literally bought books. Like you write books for, and you buy books for your study, I did the same. I took 2 books to learn how to pitch, because I never pitched to anyone, how to build up what it means cap table, how does it work with investor, what is a low partner, what is a general partner, who should you reach out. And then I start to read these books because I have really no experience. Then what I did, I bought Crunchbase. Crunchbase, that is the license for, I mean, there are plenty. I literally went online, the Crunchbase give you the access to this database of companies, and now download the database of VCs, all the VCs, because I have no clue. I didn't know any VCs. And I check one by one each VC, and I start to reach out to them. In which way? Again, LinkedIn. Hi, this is the idea, this is the project. It was very tough. No, it was very easy, right? I reached out to the VCs and started to pitch the project until I visit events, until finally we found partners that could finance the project. And then finally we started, because the team was there, the technology was there, the money was there. The customer we knew since the beginning, because we start from that, right? A lot of companies fail because they start from technology. They think, we didn't start from technology. We start from customer, the problem, the customer, go back, what is the best technology to solve that problem, not vice versa, right? And yeah, it was easy, right? No, it was like this. It was terrible. Terrible. It was terrible because you cannot read for far, but I mean, this is the roller coaster we went through, and this was just the beginning. And now I want to walk you through all this, what we experienced. Because when we started, initially, there was a lot of enthusiasm about this idea, investors saying, we give you money, very happy. We were talking about 150 million, wow, from investor coming from mining, Bitcoin mining, right? We started, but there was nothing actually. Immediately, we had after 2 months disillusion, there is nothing. And immediately after 2 months you think, okay, I'm failing. And since you are in Europe, we are not used to fail. We don't like the concept of failure. Then immediately after 3 months I said, okay, should I go back? Probably should just throw everything away and go back. But all together with this virtual team creator said, no, well, let's try it again. Then we found an investor that said, it's great, we love, we want to invest. Great. After 3 weeks, they came back and told me, Fabrizio, great project, great team, you are the wrong person. I said, okay. What do you mean? Say, you're wrong, he's the wrong. I mean, you can't do this. We cannot bet on you. You have no experience. You didn't convince us. I said, great. It was the worst day in my life because it's really like, boom. I said, but based on what? The feeling. We feel you are not the right one. Great. Great. And then we went really, for me, screwed up. I felt very bad. Then we went back and the investors said, well, no, we want to lead. But then they make a calculation and said, no, you need too much money. We changed our mind. And then again, screwed. Then we find again other investors, and they said, no, we love everything. We put together the plan, the team. We ran the due diligence, technical due diligence, and the 2 people that look at our technology, which were not from this market and not from computing, said, no, this technology looks too complicated. It will never work. And the investor said, we don't give you money. Well, but luckily, again, we could find one investor, again, in mining, Bitfury, that said, listen, I have some money to put on the table. And then the other investor, because it's like a sheep, they follow, right? You find one that puts the big bet and everyone jump in. And then we start to get money, and as I said, in less, actually, in total it was 7 months, we tape out the first test chip, which work. We got a lot of enthusiasm, traction, and investors said, we want to double down the investment. But then we enter in 2022, which was not a great year for investment, and investors start to get away again. We went again down. And then up again, because our investors saw the result of the test chip and they said, it's great, it's promising, the technology. Then we went again up. Then it was up and down, and it went on. And it went on again. We raised money, we got the chip, the first product on the market, we delivered to customers, super happy, but the financial market crashed completely. You know, the Silicon Valley Bank crashed, there was the First Republican Bank in the United States, VC stopped to invest, that was terrible. Then we got the product, and again, money was running away. An investor told me, well, Fabrizio, you have the product, the team, Evangelist is a great guy, the team is super good, but you don't have revenue. I said, well, how can I have revenue? I delivered the product 3 months ago, and it's a test chip. Yeah, without revenue, we cannot give you money. But the good news is that some customer start to give a feedback, and then we're back again on track. We're back again on track for a little while, because actually the customer said, well, we need a different chip. And we took 9 months again to retape out a new chip. Then again down. We have no customers willing to order volume because they wanted to have the final chip. And actually no investor to give us this 50 million of Series B. Until we find one. And this, we are approaching this year, was at the end of last year. Then we found a consortium, there is this investor. He gave us this term sheet, which is the first the kind of contract, we agree on the condition. And the day of the signature, he decided to withdraw the offer. It was a Friday. Great Friday, right? It was a Black Friday, really. And it was terrible, it happened, because everything again went down. Like, oh my God, we'll never do it. But then what happened? It happened a few weeks later, a new investor joined. We made significant progress on the product. And more investor wants to join, and we had an acceleration that brought us to raise 68 million instead of the first 40, 50 million that we want to raise. Then was up and down. I mean, and this was just. Then to conclude, it's there is from the world outside you see only the great things, but when you are inside a company, it's very different. It's very different. Then, what are the lessons, at least I learned so far? Well, the first is embrace failure. Because we constantly fail. We fail to raise so often. We fail to present the product. We fail with customers. But each time we try to learn why we fail. Then we try to fail as fast as possible, try everything, and go back and redo it. I think that if you want to really build up a business, you have to be ready to accept to be rejected, accept a failure constantly, almost each day, and which is very difficult in the world we live in, right? Especially if you're a student in university, but you have to really embrace this. It's extremely important. Clearly, you have to be, resilience is an important thing, right? I think it was Jensen Huang that at Stanford said to the people, you're not the people I would hire because you're too lucky if you're here, and then you will probably not be resilient enough. I cannot judge that, but I can say that you have to have very strong resilience. Be really strong and never give up. You fail and you start over. You fall down, you stand up. You can really, because it's the temptation of giving up, especially at the beginning, it's easy, because you know that there is something that you can do. But it's important also to have, at least this is my philosophy, no plan B. Never a plan B. For me, the plan B is the big problem. It's a huge problem that a lot of people have, a lot of companies. It means, you want to do something, but, you keep the door open for something else. Why you do this? Because you're scared to fail. By doing so, what's happening? You are deviating your attention from your main plan to a second plan. You are essentially using the energy that you should focus on one to another thing. And then it's extremely dangerous to have a plan B. If you want to build up a company, you should just think about that. Not having, the plan B will happen when you fail. When you don't succeed, relax. It happened, you will have other opportunity. You have really little to lose. Because how many people, they just fail in a company and they're just out in the street? Very few, very few. Then, no plan B for me is extremely important. The other thing is just to be extremely ambitious. If you do, especially if you're doing, ambitious if you are in semiconductor, in deep tech, because no investor wants to hear the small story. And the problem has to be big, you have to be ambitious, you have to really believe that, to making the possible possible. I don't know if you know the story of Nirjai Puja, that is the guy that said, it was a Sherpa, it was in the UK army, Nepalese, and he said there was this record that climbing the top 14 mountains in the world, it took 7 years to climb, before him, to climb the top 7 mountains, and he said, I want to do it in 7 months. And everyone said, it's impossible. And he said, no, it's possible. It's a matter of planning. It's a matter of breaking down the goal, which is the next one. Think. Everything looks very impossible at the beginning. Then you have to be ambitious, but then you have to break down the goal and go back at the beginning. And if you do so, you realize that with smaller steps, you can really achieve bigger things. You have to really need to break it down, like he did. Another important thing is the execution, which it's everything, because everyone has great ideas. Great ideas is something that's, I mean, there was this guy that, I love him, because he wrote me on LinkedIn and said, I'm 20 years old, I'm still studying, I have a great idea, but I have no clue how to do it and no money to realize it. Can you help me? And he said, okay, and I appreciate the tentative, actually, that he did to reach out. But the reality is that you need to really focus on the execution. When you have, if you go out, if you have an idea, you have to really understand and plan how to make it happen. Otherwise, you don't go. It sounds so obvious, but it's not obvious. Believe me, absolutely. And it's not important, the plan, right? They said that plans are useless, but planning is fundamental, because planning helps you to structure things. The other important thing is don't play alone. I mean, for many reasons. The main one, clearly the first one is that you can't do everything. If you are a great engineer, probably you're great at that, but you will not be probably the best salesman. Or there are people that are great in everything, but very few. And it's extremely difficult to build up a company, a big company, especially in deep tech, in the sector alone. Really, you need a sparring partner. You need, I mean, you are the yin and you need your yang, right? You need to balance things. And it's good to have someone also that is in this journey. We at Axelera, actually, there is me and Evangelos, a co-founder, but the co-founding team is 17 people, actually. We started immediately in 17. And I think this helped a lot also, the young guys, the students, just to connect to each other, also to support each other in the tough moments. An important thing is also the team itself, which is the main asset. Even the idea, I build up a company, there is me and these guys, then we write someone. No, the team is so important. We at Axelera, we don't hire just people. We want the best people. We are willing to pay the people, like if they are professional of 20 years experience. We want people that have the right mindset, not only best in hard skill, but soft skill, that can understand and can cope with stress. But you should invest. You have to have a plan and not think, okay, we start in two, then I will get people on board. It's not like this. It's very different. And another important point is take action, be a doer. Even this look obvious. But picking up the phone, well, no one picking up the phone, no one today pick up the phone, but link up, reach people out on LinkedIn, reach out people via mail. A lot of people, they don't do this. I mean, the difference quite often between great entrepreneurs is that a great entrepreneur is not scared to just reach out to a person, to talk to a person, you're not afraid to do things. And quite often we are afraid. Because we are afraid, can I ask this? Even in notes like this, people that don't tend to ask questions because they're scared, right? Maybe it's too stupid the question. There is no stupid question, right? Then what is so obvious is not obvious. In reality, we don't do the things in the way we should. We don't take the risk. We should act. We should really don't be scared and move forward. Just remove any mental block we may have. The other point is to also keep focus. It's really simple, keep focus is in what you want to do. It's very tempting when you do something and you start to grow the business that you say, I can do even this, even that, even that. Defocusing. And strategy is deciding what not to do, actually. It's just to remove from your table whatever is not essential. Focus on your core. And this looks simple, but in reality it's not. You get distracted so often by many things, especially even when you build up a business. Then the keep focus is another important aspect. And another one, prepare to live in constant emergency. Because when you run a startup, at least my startup, everything is always on fire. There is no day where something is going extremely well. There is always something wrong. Each single day, a fire there, the chip doesn't work, the board doesn't work, the person resigned, the other person complained. It's like this. At the beginning, you get so stressed because I came from corporation, I came from a quiet environment. I say, what is this mess? It is how it is. It's just mess because if you think about it, you want to do something which looks impossible at the beginning with limited resources, very fast, you end up screwing up, I mean, here or there. Then you have to cope with all of this. It's really something that, you breathe in, breathe out, and at the beginning you are so nervous and tense, then you get inside this mood that, okay, there is a fire, let the house burn down. Yeah, let's try to save it what I can save. But it's really something that you have to cope with. And the other important thing is that you have to sacrifice a lot. I mean, if I think about what I miss from my previous job is that the time. I mean, I didn't realize I had a lot of time. I have really a lot of time to spend with friends, with family, with my work. Today is not anymore the case. It's not only for me. If you ask to any person running a startup, you don't have time. You have to select what to do. And I select my family and my job, but I have to sacrifice also my relationship with my friends. I see them way less often. Then you have to really sacrifice for a long while, because you start with this idea, 2 years, 3 years, it will be great. Then after 3 years become 5 years. After 5 years become 7. I mean, on average, they say that an exit, at least here in Europe, for a company is 7 years. From the day you start something and the day you sell something, or it becoming public traded company, it takes 7 years on average. If you do it in less time, great, but you have to start with this idea. Then it's a long journey. Up and down, as I said, it's always like this. But it's a great journey, right? And I still recommend to do this journey because the last one is this, is don't give up on your dreams, because I mean, it's something that I still recommend you. If you have a dream, if you have something you want to achieve, just try it. I mean, you have nothing to lose, really. It will be tough, but what you will learn and what we will bring to you is huge. And as Netflix said, even them, they started with just DVDs, right? And they build up a multi-billion company. And thank you. That's it. Thank you.